You're going to love this one. And both my kids witnessed this miracle. I want to share a miracle with you. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your miracles. So post them. This might cause you to reflect on your life and go back into time a little bit and go, wait a minute, I've had miracles happen too. And without a doubt, there's no way we could have planned this. So back in 1998, I was in the middle of going through a real rough time in my life, way before cancer ever came in. I was a victim of a stalker, which means as it was happening for 2 years and 3 months, I was on the run. I had to change my name a couple of times. The district attorney got the case, basically the court, the people versus the stalker. I'm safe now. People ask me that all the time. Why would I go live if I was not safe? Well, anyway, back then I was in a shelter in hiding till they could remand this evil, psychotic man back into custody. He was in a motorhome, and I had to stay in a shelter, a women's shelter, until they could get him back into custody. So they were looking for him. While I was there, I was having nightmares. I would fall asleep for about 5 minutes, and then I would break out in a sweat, and I would be screaming, reliving some of the trauma that had happened. And with women and children in this shelter, it was causing a lot of disruptiveness for their sleep because we're all in the same dwelling. So the counselors became very concerned for me because I wasn't getting sleep, for the women and the children who were getting woken up because I wasn't just talking in my sleep, I was screaming and I was reliving what had happened to me, the trauma, the physical trauma against me. So they decided to send me a doctor's office to get evaluation and see if they could get me medicated so that I could get some sleep and everybody would have peace and quiet. Well, the ratio of counselors per individual staying in the shelter had to be just right. So they trusted me. They couldn't have a counselor go with me to this doctor's appointment. So they trusted me. I had built enough and established credibility as far as being trustworthy to go in one of the counselor's cars and go to the facility. On the way, they said, do not stop off to see your family. I missed them so much. Do not stop off to see your kids. And my kids have different fathers. So they were both with their dad. And at this time, it meant so much to me that the kids not know what was happening to me. So they thought I was doing jury duty. Turning my phone off. So I agreed to everything. So that drive, as you can only imagine, went with many tears. It did not go without tears. And I was so stressed because I could have gotten off the exit before this doctor's office and gone and seen my son. But I didn't, and I respected them. They were feeding me, they were clothing me, and they were sheltering me, and they were keeping me safe. Go to the doctor's appointment. I have to do check-ins, so I'm at a payphone and let them know I'm safe. So I call it at the doctor's office and let them know that I finished my appointment and that I was starting, so they could keep track of the time, that I was headed out back to the shelter. And I had to go in a roundabout way, a different path, so that no one could find the shelter. So I had all my instructions. Well, a gentleman overheard me on the payphone and said, you're not getting on the 118 freeway, are you? The Ronald Reagan Freeway in Simi Valley, between Simi Valley and the San Fernando Valley. I said, yes, I am. He goes, well, there's been a SIG alert, there's been an accident, you're not going to be able to go. I said, all right. Called them back and told them. They said, well, just wait where you're at the payphone and don't go anywhere. I said, all right. So I waited, and I think it was 15, 20 minutes, don't go anywhere. They wanted me to check in, called back. And they said, we've got Save On Drugs is going to fill your prescription for you, and we want you to take the alternate route, the Santa Susana Pass. It's an old pass road that used to get you from the San Fernando Valley into Simi before the freeway was ever built. I said, all right. So it's a long roundabout way to go where I was at. And I went to the pharmacy first. And when I walk down the aisle and I get to the spot where you're dropping off the script, there is my son and his dad. Now, if I had gone and not trusted and not followed the rules, and I'd gone to try to see my son, this is where one of the miracles, I had 2 that day, takes place. If I had went ahead and gone to try to see my son, he would not have been home because he was at his own doctor's appointment, his dad's, and I bumped into him at the pharmacy. Now think about timing. God's timing is perfect. If I had deviated, if there'd been one red light too many, if my appointment had taken too long, anything could have stopped me from having this miracle take place. I had not seen my son in about 28 days. So we're in each other's arms. His dad says I could have some time to talk to him, and I go outside and we sit outside with him, and I say, son, I want you to know something. A miracle just took place here. And I talked about how before, when I left the women's shelter, I said it was court. When I left, I was told that I could go here, couldn't stop off to see any of the kids, that there was rules I had to follow. I said, but God felt my pain and said, it said that we will never be given more than what we can handle. And this has been proven to me over and over and over in my life. I've been in situations where I've been so sick and so much pain from surgery or whatever, just like take me in my sleep. Not suicidal, but just I really thought I couldn't handle anymore. So I told Kyle, I want you to remember this for the rest of your life, that miracles happen. He goes, okay, Mom. And so I gave him a hug and I said, I want you to give this hug to your sister when you see her next, because she's not going to get to see you like I got to see you, see me like I got to see you. And I don't want her to feel bad. So just give her a hug and just let her know. Mom loves you. Mom's thinking about you. Don't tell her you saw me. So I get my time with my son, and I was so glad that I followed the rules that the women's shelter told me. Do not stop off. Don't take the exit. Don't see anybody, because this is where the stalker would be, where your family and your friends, the ones you love most, this is where he would be. So I get back in my car. I say goodbye. I thank my ex-husband for that time. And I get back on the road, and I'm headed to the Santa Susana Pass, which is the roundabout mountain pass road to get me into the San Fernando Valley, which I wasn't going to go all the way. I was going to get to Rocky Peak and get on the 118. It was just a little detour that I was taking. I get to the mountain Santa Susana Pass, and I get to the one final exit left before I have to get onto the 118 at Rocky Peak Road. Coming down one mountain pass, I'm here, is a stop sign, and then you just get on and you get onto the freeway. At that mountain pass, Box Canyon, at the stop sign, I'm there at exactly the same time as my daughter and her dad and his wife are in the car. I'm in a counselor's car, white t-shirt, kind of low key, and they recognize me. So they go ahead and cross and pull into the dirt up alongside the hill, and then I make a little U-turn and I get behind them in their red Aerostar van, and they open up the door and Jessica's out and I get out and she's in my arms. She's got play stuff on, jewelry, lipstick. She's been playing house, obviously. And they don't even know what I'm going through with this miracle and how it's all unfolding. I hugged my daughter and I just said, Jessica, I always want you to believe in God, and I always want you to believe in miracles. Now let's just look at all of this. If I had the blessings that you can get in your life at the worst time that you've got to be grateful for. I'm in a shelter. I'm frustrated, because I can't exercise. So I've got a backpack, I'm putting stuff in, I'm running up and down the stairs. And I've got so much gratitude, and that's why I followed the rule in the first place. I was so grateful that I had food, so grateful that I had shelter, so grateful that the kids' dads were taking care of them while I was going through this and they were safe. Grateful that I didn't get kicked out of the shelter because of all the nightmares I was having, that they were willing to work with me and try to help me find a solution. All of these things that took place and all of the gratitude that I had while I was frustrated, while I was missing my kids, there's no better planner than God to be driving from Santa Clarita all the way to Simi Valley to say, oh, it's so tempting. The counselors told me not to go anywhere and not to deviate from the instructions they gave me to go straight to the doctor's office. They're trusting me with a vehicle that doesn't belong to me, it belongs to a counselor. And going in, I get on the phone, I do what I'm supposed to do. There's a SIG alert. I can't get on the regular road, the 118, to lead me back to Santa Clarita. So I go and I pick up my prescription, and there's my son. If I had broken that rule, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to bump into my son. I was brokenhearted and missed that little guy. If I hadn't spent just the right amount of time sitting outside of Save On drugstore talking to Kyle, and then getting in the car and saying goodbye and saying, give Jessica a hug, she's not going to get to see me. That's how much gratitude I had just to have the one encounter with my child. But to get on the road and to go the speed limit that I was going and to hit just the right amount of stop signs and exits and the traffic to get where I needed to get, where the next miracle happened, where my daughter was, the two cars hitting the stop sign at exactly the same time before I get onto the freeway, and to see my daughter. This is evidence, and this was a long time ago. I've had these kind of synchronicities or miracles, that's what I call them, happen to me so many times since that last one. And both my kids remember it. Both of them remember it to this day. And I wrote it down. I remember I got paper and it had little pansies on top, blue and purple and pink pansies. And I wrote down my miracle. And I told the kids, save this, remember this, write it down, do what you ever have to do, because this is such an important time. If I had said, okay, I want to meet Teresa at this time, at this exit, and then I want to meet this person at this exit, you know what? People are not great in timing. We always end up waiting. Someone's waiting for the other and they're pausing. Oh, I'm sorry, I ran and got into traffic. So I just want to make sure those of you out there that follow me, that watch my cancer journey and see that I'm completely healed from stage 4 when the doctor said it was impossible. We don't know what your miracle is, but miracles happen. And they happen all the time. I didn't beat it once, I beat it twice. And the second time when UCLA said, you know, you're not going to beat it. You can still ask for your miracle. And you can still be grateful and follow the rules along the way, or follow your intuition. You can still have God working in your life when you don't realize it. Be ready for it. Look for it. Miracles happen all the time. This is just one of many, many miracles that have happened in my life. While you're sick, while you're scared, these miracles are happening. I have had the greatest blessings because of my dire circumstances, because of the stalker, and because I had to give up my kids. I was able to see God's miracles. When things are going smooth and I'm happy and everything's going the way I plan it and the way I want it, we don't get to see all of those miracles. So there are miracles in the adversities, in the struggles that we're going to get hit with in our life. And believe me, you can look back on your life and you can see how many different things you went through that you got through. Share that with another person. Share this story, whether you say it over the phone or you share the video, share it. It's the truth. It happens, and we've got to trust that we are not alone. God sends out angels. We have angels. We're angels to one another. Don't lose your faith. Don't give up. Just because you're sick does not mean you're abandoned. I've had cancer twice, and the best blessings came from being sick. I've met the greatest people through my cancer journey. You've got to reach out to God in the morning before you start your day. You've got to thank Him in advance for the blessings that are coming your way. You do not get abandoned just because a bad guy comes into your life, or because cancer came into your life, or any other sickness. I speak to the cancer community, but you know what other illnesses that will make you feel like you're abandoned and God has left you. You're not abandoned. You're loved. You're cherished. That's what I want to remind women, that there are miracles still going on today, and they're there for all of us. I love you. Have a great weekend.